Welcome to Dynamos Wasn't the podcast that we bring you each and every single week where we talk about whatever may be on our minds from pro wrestling, sports, entertainment, music, movies, fresh socks and jocks, and everything in between. Never forgetting the talc. Welcome back to Dynamos Dozen, your weekly live show hosted by me, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, and as always, my favourite co-host and yours, Niall the Shopkeeper Hogan. How are we doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good, actually. Had a real good Easter. Went out on Saturday, St. Peter K. It was absolutely sensational. Had a great
Seen
night
that.
at it. The man brought me to tears, He brought me to tears, but I can't say much about the show because he's still on tour and he asked for people not to give it out, but had me in tears. It was very nostalgic and looking back on the old days and all, it was really, really cool. Great show. Really enjoyed it. So good time. Sunday we had a bunch of people over for dinner. That was great crack. And Monday I kind of chilled out and did a load of work around the place, and that was it. That was my Easter weekend. So, but we've had a interesting week in terms of pro wrestling, dare I say.
Yes, that's where we're. Yeah, my Easter was quiet enough too. Quiet so much that I was out in a Club Hell reunion, as you're aware of. So it was a very quiet night.
That can't have been quiet.
No, it was not quiet. There was plenty of free shots being handed out and lots of freebies handed out. But we went for a lovely meal in town, the Millstone restaurant there on Dame Street. Had a lovely big 10-ounce steak with some mash.
You're telling me has that Club Hell group have they all grown up all of a sudden out for a nice steak meal and all?
It was myself, the missus, his missus, and himself, and that was just our little pre-night ritual. Yeah, nice. Got a nice 10-ounce steak, got the fried Martha, and a nice little whiskey sour then to just wash it down. So it was a nice evening. Nice evening.
Sounds like a great night. So Joanne
so shout out to Emmett Cleary from Club Hell and O'Reilly's. Absolutely. Always running the town. I'm sure many of you in here know who he is. So I just said I'd give all the boys that were at Club Hell a shout out because there was a few lads there. They know who they are, that listen to the show and are big fans of the show. So good to see everybody. Absolutely. And hello, Joanne. Hello, Joanne.
It was absolute. That Club Hell, it was historic, really, wasn't it? Funny enough, actually, we'd visitors over on Sunday, and one of Hillary's brother, Vernon, his daughter now was going out. She's under kind of rock scene fibbers and parties and stuff like that. She's at that age now, and Vernon actually was asking me what was the name of the club that was in town, what was the bar and all there at the dart station and all, and I said it was Riley's and it was Club Hell, and it was awesome. So we were just reminiscing a little bit about those nights and stuff like that. They were absolutely crazy.
Absolutely crazy. That's why when you're at my age, you're on the old dilutes on a school night
instead of the straight vodka, just points of it with some orange.
No, pure dilutes. As you can hear in my voice, I'm a little bit.
Do you know what I had over the weekend? I had some Club Lemon. I haven't had it in a long time. Club Lemon. Tell you, very refreshing it was.
Do you know
very
what?
Refreshing.
It's one of those things. My dad loves lemon, and so does Rachel. And I never used to like it. I used to suffer with a bit of. I still do. I get acid stomach really bad. That's why, like, the only drink that I'll have at night time going to bed is literally dilute, orange dilute. Don't like the blackcurrant. I like orange dilute. And I've always found that with lemon, I love lemon dilute now as well. But I found with the lemon, it's the best drink just on its own with a load of ice in the summer. Absolutely. It just literally quenches the thirst, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. A little dash of Bacardi or something. It's good. Half a pint of it. Big hello to Joanne anyway. Joanne was on a chat with me the other day on the show. She's loving the wrestling podcast. So she has one here for you, From the early years, have you a favourite bout of wrestling?
Jeez, it depends how early back. Like, where does early fall for Joanna?
Well, she mentioned Sherry Martel and she mentioned Mr. Perfect. So it's as back as you want to go, isn't it? It's
all right, fair enough. Because I was going to go, Pat O'Connor and Luke Tez, but I don't know whether she.
No, we're not that far back. We're definitely not that far back.
From the early years, no, well, yeah. I mean, one of the many matches, but there is a Donnybrook on YouTube that's pretty good. for any kind of old students of the game. Well, we're watching, but Jesus, bout from the early years. First one that comes to mind, I would just even. Wow, my God. Do you know what? I'm going to be fuckery here. I'm going to go Shawn Michaels and Rick Martel blindfold match. There you go.
There you go. Interesting. I mean, you could pick any Savage Steamboat or three. Savage Steamboat or three, and you could pick other ones earlier.
Yeah, you'd kind of have to go, yeah. I'd say, actually, do you know what? Early years, there we go. I'm going to go Flair and Harley race. A Flair for the goal. There you go.
Nice. Sean's in. Apparently, Black Wednesday falls on his birthday, so hopefully nothing drastic will happen. A lot of rumblings at the moment going around about certain talent cuts and stuff like that. We'll get into it a little bit later. Eno's also in. What's the crack, fellas? Joanne is going, ooh, give us your one, Joanne. Don't forget to give us your one.
Yeah.
And the Acers can't beat a Rock Shandy. Now, Acers, I'm going to ask you this. I have to make a comment here. When you're talking about a Rock Shandy, are you talking about the pre-made bottle of Rock Shandy? Are you talking about the guy who gets the bottle of lemon and the bottle of orange and makes the Rock Shandy? Let us know.
That's a good show.
I call this cat that comes in my garden Macho Man, and he's Randy. Aren't they all?
Stop calling them then, Joanne.
yeah, Joanne. Yeah, absolutely. Right, plenty of news to get into this week. Some interesting stuff. Joanne says she liked Undertaker versus Ultimate Warrior. Interesting.
Yeah,
good show. Absolutely. But I suppose we're going to start. There's nowhere else to start. You'll enjoy some of the news this week because there's two bits come to you from Bret the Hitman Hart, of course, your favorite of all time. The first one was he was talking about the current state of the business. Now we know that Bret is the king of flying the flag from the art of wrestling and how it should be respected, and also kayfabe and all that kind of stuff, even to this day. But he came out the other day. I want to get your take on this. He said the old kind of wrestling is sorely missed by a lot of people, and we know that Bret is in the process. I think he's setting up a promotion with the family and stuff like that, similar to what Stampede was, which is
it's in the same old building. Yeah.
Excellent. If the old wrestling was around like my dad's wrestling, we'd come see it. I'm trying to advise my son Dallas and help him deliver the kind of wrestling show that I would enjoy watching, where the wrestlers actually know what a headlock is rather than doing the scripted ballet and leaping, twirling, and dancing around like a bunch of ballet dancers. When I think of WWE, the wrestlers crowded together outside on the floor and someone dives over the top rope and knocks them all down like bowling pins. I roll my eyes at how pathetic wrestling is today, top to bottom. All the top wrestlers and all the middle bottom wrestlers in WWE and AEW all slapping their leg on every punch and slap. Thoughts, my friend?
I concur.
Hard to argue.
I concur. I mean, it's I've been kind of in a much smaller scale flying that flag for a long time myself, Niall, haven't I?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree. And look, there's context and everything, and I'm sure Bret, people like taking Bret out of context. I doubt he's talking about the likes of the Roman Reigns of this world and the Codys of this world and the Seth Rollins and of these worlds that are actually putting on great message. I think it's just the general go-to kind of stuff. And to be fair, there is, when you look at the young up-and-coming guys and girls, it is very scripted looking and very ballet. And, it's the headlock is the one that got me because it's so true. It's so true. It just looks loose. It looks clumsy. It looks... Sorry, I was talking about SummerSlam 92. I was talking about no hitting of the face. So it wasn't the blindfold match, but you are correct on that particular blindfold match. So, yeah, it was... I mean, it's just... I mean, I would allude to the fact that the reason they're slapping their leg as well is because mostly they're doing a super kick as well. Like, I mean, the super kick used to mean something. It's a pretty vicious move, and same with Kenny Omega. Like, how like Kenny Omega runs the ropes pretty quick. That would just knock you out with those knees and those kicks that he's down to the face. So I get exactly where Brett's coming from.
Yeah, it's a good shout by him. I suppose the question really is, with the way things have evolved and, how we know so much about what goes on in the background now and the social media and the internet and everything. Literally, we know what wrestlers have for their breakfast at this stage. Do you believe, as Brett says here, is there a market for that, a straight up wrestling show, that kind of way? Or would people see that as being, dare I say, a little bit back to Carney? Would it be outdated? Would it be acceptable? Would people flock
No, I
to it?
think
Just give me your thoughts on that. I mean,
yeah, like it's evolved in terms of the presentation and stuff like that, and the amount of money involved in it. But it's devolved in terms of the technical aspect in the ring. Just because something is bringing in, more money, at the end of the day, it's not bringing in more viewers. We know that that's a fact. I mean, the 90s, especially the Attitude Era and the 80s, like that was when it's at its all-time high viewers in terms of pay-per-view buy rates and stuff like that. So I think all round it's devolved in terms of what's in the ring and the product that we're looking at in the ring, not necessarily the actual business as a whole. So I think there's context there. Do you know what I mean? But I definitely think it's regressed within the ring, or more so on a consistent level.
yeah, I suppose if you look at it from the outside in, most of the, let's say, if we were to talk, say, about our top five men and women wrestling at the moment, who we regard as our top five, doesn't matter who it is, most of them I would imagine are able to work that style. But because of the way it's
Mm-hmm.
evolved and the sports entertainment and all this kind of thing, they've moved away from that in terms of how they work, because they've been driven by what is being fed into the market, basically, and what the expectation is from the fan base now, as opposed to if it's a straight up wrestling match. You know what I mean? But I'd imagine, say, for argument's sake, Charlotte Flair, I'm sure she'd be more than capable of working her dad's style if she had to. I'm sure Becky's more than capable of doing it. We've seen it before. Straight up wrestling match. I'm sure Roman could do it as well. I know AJ Styles could.
I have to
You know,
disagree. I really have to disagree there, because I don't think this isn't just something that you're capable of. This is something like going in and calling a full on, 30 to 40 minute match on the fly, like, or an hour match like Ric Flair did. Charlotte Flair is absolutely not capable of that, because that's not how they were trained. There's a different training kind of thing within the WWE Performance Center. That's a lost art in and of itself. And I suppose what you're looking at with Bret here is he's not asking for much. He's asking for snugness and, the basics to be right, to be able to say that, Seth Rollins and these modern guys and, Roman could go in and do what Harley Race and all the boys done back in the day, albeit it looks flashier now. They look better. And you are correct, by the way. I'm not disagreeing with your point. You are correct. They're better athletes these days. They're cleaner cut. There's not as much booze and drugs and, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll involved within it. But it was a different art form in terms of what Brett's talking about here, in terms of how they were able to call stuff in the ring. I mean, it's not so long ago that we were talking about, Brett and Undertaker, for example. That's a pro wrestling match. Everything is snug. Everything is perfect. Shawn and Undertaker. Same with Shawn and Flair. Like, it's a story that's getting told in the ring. This is what it really comes down to. It's all about stories being told in the wrestling ring. And I don't think the modern day guys all across the board are as good as storytellers. I do think you're correct that Roman fits that bracket. He's taken the ball and he's ran with it. I think Cody absolutely fits that bracket. I think Brock fits that bracket. I think Rey Mysterio has always been in that. I think on the AEW side, you've probably got Punk and MJF that can do it. Bryan Danielson. So there are guys that can do it. I just think when we talk about the great matches over the last few years, even Cody and Goldust, Cody and
yeah, the blood
Dustin,
one, yeah,
they're the matches people
yeah,
remember. You know
yeah,
what I mean? That's all I mean by that. So I'm not
yeah.
disagreeing with your points at all.
Mm.
I guess I'm trying to play the side, because I know what way Brett thinks about wrestling. I suppose that's what I'm trying to do, is just convey the
Yeah, no, I
message that
just
he's.
I just think in some of the people that we mentioned, occasionally you will get a match off them like that where the simpler things, they put more meaning and more emphasis to it. Like we've spoken about, even how Roman has slowed down and everything is done with a meaning and it,
Yeah,
leading to something else. So there is a storytelling in there and stuff like that. But I mean,
definitely,
I
definitely.
fully get Brett's point. I'm just wondering, because the way the business has evolved and where it has got to, I wonder, is there a kind of a market for that still, in terms of, I mean, me and you would lap it up all day long, obviously, old
Well, I
school
think
boys all
Roman
the
is
way.
selling that, isn't he? I think Roman is selling that, because I did read more about what he said, and he talked about
Mm,
the people that he actually likes. And
yeah,
Roman was one of those guys. He was alluding to the fact that you look at Roman and Cody at Mania, for example. He goes, everything was
mm,
slow paced. You know what I mean? I think it's more it's probably the fast paced, like back in the day, the lucha libre style, the cruiserweight style in WCW, when that really came to the fore, was something unique and something we hadn't seen much of, but it was still very hard hitting. I think it's like, you look at every match on Raw now, there's going to be the same spots all across the board. And I think that's what he means, just probably all across the
yeah,
the
yeah.
lower to mid card as well.
Yeah, and we've also spoken before about how, like, finishers being used as moves within matches and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
There's a lack of
yeah.
respect, of course, in that area and all. Great show from Joanne there. Goldust was funny, absolutely. What a character. Brutus the Barber Beefcake was great as well. Yeah, absolutely. Ian's in. It seems to me that we got a Tommy Boy turning guy here. I'm not too sure what that
I think
means.
Eno
Acers.
might be. I think Eno might be having a shot at Joanne there because of the Brutus the Barber beefcake.
Looking forward to seeing Omega versus Osprey at all in Wembley Stadium. Certainly be interesting. In front of probably 7,000 fans in a 100,000 seater stadium. It
Is he
seems to
coming at
me.
you? Noel? Is he coming at you?
Who?
Eno here. Is Eno coming at you?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. It
Eno,
seems to me.
specify.
What's your point? We need to get your point, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Women's tag titles match last night was absolutely, truly awful wrestling. Um, yeah, I don't know. We're going to get into that. Don't worry, we're going to be talking about it shortly. We'll be picking up on a few bits that happened in Raw last night. So if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, it's going to be coming at you. I'm sick of wrestling stories. Whatever happened to good old fashioned straight up wrestling? Oh, okay, I know where he's coming from now. Papa Shango, what a show. I didn't like him. You didn't like him? Yeah, absolutely. He was unbelievable. Remember that stuff with the Undertaker? No, or not
Scared
Undertaker,
me. Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior. Let's get into this one. This moves on a little bit from the point with Brett as well. Becky was on the Stephen A. Smith show, and she was talking about the influence of celebrity people coming in to work the bigger shows, you'd like the WrestleManias and the SummerSlams and stuff like that. And she was alluding to the fact that there needs to be a balance found with so many people working so hard all year, and maybe their spots at their moment of glory being given up to a celebrity star that comes in for a one-off thing or a couple of things, stuff like that. No, so she said there can be a bit of a problem personally and from a work ethic standpoint that you put all of this effort into this all year round, and when the big shows come, when the big stadiums come, and there's 80,000 people, you want to receive your flowers for that hard work. Absolutely, you've been putting in all year round, so that we can do this. So she's alluding to the fact that, like, celebrities just roll in, say, I don't know. She might have. I'm not sure if she was talking about Logan Paul because he's been around a few times, but obviously Snoop coming in and whatever it is, and these stars are coming in. Are they coming in at the behest of people who have been working there hard all year, not necessarily getting their opportunity on these big shows? What's your thoughts on it? I mean, down through the years, through WrestleMania, you've always had, and the bigger show, you've always had some sort of a celebrity kind of impact on it, if you like, between Mr. T and Muhammad Ali and all this kind of stuff, So, what's your thoughts?
I think our own Bex here is setting the feud up here for the return of two ladies that she was involved with at Mania. Just I think there's a bit of kayfabe going on here. To be fair, I think I think they're the stars that she's talking about, because she doesn't really mention celebrities as such. She's mentioned two particular people coming back for the pop, and yet she's the one working. So I think this is probably just a little bit of a. It's probably thinly veiled, but it's actually using this for Trish in particular, and you'll probably see a bit of that next week on Raw. If I'm being honest, I think she's playing with people.
Yeah, well, that leads into what we're going to talk about with Raw shortly. But Aces is in. Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle were absolutely, truly wrestling machines. Yeah, absolutely.
Can't disagree with that.
Absolutely no disagreement there. Let's talk about this man. This man, no shots at anyone, not at all, my friends. All kill with Dynamos doesn't. Good, or we'll fire your ass off the chat. But Drew McIntyre, interesting information coming out about Drew this week in relation to his contract, that he's a bit beat up, which is no surprise if you're in a match with Gunther. That's going to happen. Looking for a bit of time off and stuff to heal up and stuff. Had to cancel some appearances and that kind of thing. But apparently he's at odds with his contract as well, which ends. Just for all those people who were getting excited about he might show up at Wembley for AEW, that's not going to happen because he's contracted out as far as now till the end of the year, and then you get your whole 90-day thing as well on top of that. So it'll be 2024 probably before this man is a free agent. But apparently he's negotiating a new contract, and the money apparently are poles apart between his valuation of himself and WWE's valuation of him. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's a weird one because I don't know like what he values himself at and what his contract is at. I think, unfortunately, for Drew, that train is gone through no fault of his own. As that kind of main guy, ship seems to have sailed. He got his Mania moment, unfortunately, with no fans there.
Or some people would say didn't get his Mania moment.
Or didn't get his Mania moment, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one. Like when you're, it's, yeah. I don't really know. I don't really have an opinion on that one because, like, he seems like a good guy. He's a workhorse. Well, we know he's a good guy, but like he seems to have no issues, behind the scenes. So, but look, at the end of the day, you feel. This is the thing now with AEW that they have that much money. I'd say they would be waiting in the wings to give him as much money as he wants because there'd be another one up on Endeavor, let's say.
Yeah.
They will endeavor to do what they can to get the top stars, but it's a tough one for Drew. Like you could probably understand that could be a bit of frustration coming in as well, that he sees himself as that top tier main event level guy, and he's not quite done anything, I suppose, to to lower his stock in his mind, other than the company putting him in a lower position. So there could be a little bit of that.
Yeah, well, I suppose when you're running with a storyline like the Bloodline, and obviously we had the big match at Clash of the Castle last September and stuff like that, which was a huge wave, and it was absolutely phenomenal at the time, to the point where people thought that he was actually in with a shout of taking the titles off Roman. And the build-up was really, really good, and everything else that they did with it. But the problem is, I suppose, when you're around that top tier, you kind of, the way that Bloodline storyline moves with Roman very quickly onto the next person, you get maybe a 2-month build-up or whatever it is. You culminates with a Roman win, and then you move on, a la Lesnar, or whoever else you want to look at there, Cody maybe for Mania and stuff like that. So, but he's certainly in that circle, isn't he? Probably not financially, I would imagine. But certainly he's in that circle in terms of his stature in there. And it just happens that circle just moves around and guys slot in for a moment, then they come back out. I mean, if you look at Rollins, look at where Rollins has sat from, going from being Universal Champion to dropping the belt to Balor and the injury and all that stuff, to go down to getting the injury, to building himself back up even through the lower card at times into the mid card. And so forth and stuff like that. So you do kind of have to you have to express maybe a certain amount of patience when you've kind of had your turn. And it's interesting to see going forward what's going to happen here with his contract. I mean, would you see him going, or do you see him re-signing? It'd be hard to see him in AEW, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably crying out for someone of his kind of size and stature or something like that, you know. But like we've seen what happens with people that are suggested as top level stars in WWE, and then what AEW do with them. I don't see it as a good fit for him personally. He looks like a WWE guy, acts like a WWE guy. Yes, I don't see it as a good fit. But I suppose he's getting to that stage of his career where, you know, at the end of the day, if he feels that he knows his worth is this and they're way off meeting that, then, you know, that could be where there needs to be a bit of a compromise, or else it won't happen. So it could be just a bit of a play, especially if he's got pretty much the rest of the year to get what he feels he deserves. I would imagine they'd meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, as I said last week on the show, with the merger happening and the injection of financial power that's going in there between the two companies coming together, and also the opportunity between two companies, and the opportunity, especially to leverage what Jaman Ari has available and stuff like that. This is not a time to be leaving WWE. This is a time to leverage everything you can there and propel yourself even further, you know. But we'll keep an eye on it. Let's take some comments first. Acers is saying he's dreading the WWE draft. Vince McMahon will absolutely destroy the company piece by piece. We'll take a look at that draft as it unfolds and stuff like that, and give our thoughts on it, probably on a further on show and stuff like that. Ian, you don't need to give us that. We're going to be talking about that now in a second, so we won't drop it yet. Ministry of Darkness 2.0 is getting old. That being the Judgment Day hashtag sucks. Merger is kind of interesting. The merger is very interesting, especially if you're a performer in there. You now have another door open there now with a lot of potential and riches in there for you. According to Acer, City are 1-0 up against Bayern Munich. Always good to keep us updated on that. Thank you very much. Wanted to talk about this one. This man has re-signed another contract with WWE, and apparently I hear whispers it's a multi-year deal, which is something I think he spoke in his own podcast that he didn't necessarily want to sign a multi-year deal, because he says he likes to assess stuff year on year as things evolve and change and all that kind of stuff. But apparently the talk is he has signed a multi-year deal. This guy seems right at home in WWE, has fitted in absolutely brilliantly. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, it makes sense. And look, you know, Logan Paul doesn't do what he doesn't want to do. So maybe it was him and Han about the idea of a multi-year deal, but probably good negotiating skills from Hunter there, or someone to suggest that he might sign. And multi-year deal would suggest that it's probably at minimum of 3. Yeah. Because usually they would say he signed for 2 years, but like at and over 2, it's usually you're going into the 3 or 4 year deal. So look, it makes sense. And at the end of the day, there's probably language in that contract as well that would suggest that they have to have some sponsorship opportunities in there for Prime, etc., especially with them being the main drink sponsor of UFC now as well. Yeah. So it just makes sense. And look, he's proven himself, hasn't he? Continues to prove himself time and time again. So
absolutely,
I think it's good news all around.
Yeah, and he's never too far away from a bottle of Prime, that's for sure. There's always one around somewhere. It's unreal, isn't it? It's mad when you think about it.
Can't buy it for love nor money over here, I hear.
No, and they're charging £10 for a bottle of it in the UK. Sells in Walmart for $1.99. $1.99. We need to order a couple of pallets.
I don't want to suggest it might taste. Well, I'll have to have a taste myself at some point.
At £10 a bottle, I'd rather sell it, to be honest.
Use it as a mixer.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Raw last night, of course. Some interesting things that came out of it, of course. So we had a tag match last night where Trish took the place of Lita. Lita got attacked backstage. Raquel Gonzalez and Liv Morgan were saying standing over. So Trish became Becky's partner for the tag match for the night. And they lost the belts. The belts changed hands last night. New champions, Raquel and Liv. And then Trish, in the usual way, was hugging and making sure Becky was all right, and then turned on her and hit her with the chick kick. So Trish has turned heel, attacking Becky. Hence the narrative you spoke about earlier when we were talking about Becky's interview with Stephen A. Smith. A lot of people thought that this might happen at WrestleMania, but it didn't happen at WrestleMania, so it's happened 2 weeks later on Raw. Give us your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but it obviously tells me that Trish is here for a run. And it would also suggest that she was the one that attacked Lita as well, which makes it very, very interesting. So maybe Trish has got the goo again, and she sees that maybe she's endeavoring for a long time stay with the company again for a while. See what I'm doing here? You know,
yeah, they're all seeing this merger, aren't they? And their eyes are all opening like rabbits in headlights. They're going, here's a new world of entertainment here available, a lot of money, all this kind of thing's going to pour in. Huge opportunity.
They're not
here.
back.
Yeah,
they're not back. Just to admire that 1920s style heel mustache on good old Vinnie Mac.
No, I'll just push the yoga career over here for a few months and see how this pans out. She absolutely looks the business. Dare I say, could we be seeing could we get a fourth member of Damage Control? Maybe is that what we might see here or something? I believe there was a segment backstage between them as well, which would be very, very interesting.
There you go.
So they've laid out the groundwork anyway, and I'm sure this will roll on probably as far as SummerSlam, I would imagine.
But sure, she looks like she's in her 30s, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, they look the business. When they show up, they really put in the effort and look the part, don't they? What about Cody? Cody came out challenging Brock to a match at Backlash. What's your thoughts on this one?
Great promo. Touching on the back of what we said last week about how good he is on the mic. It was a proper babyface promo talking about how Brock Lesnar does scare him, but these are the moments that get you up in the morning, that kind of stuff. He just he still has the crowd on side. It's I'll tell you one thing, if they're pushing him to test him to see what he can do, he's certainly delivering on the mic. So it'd be interesting. I'd say Brock will love a bit of that, to be fair. Because Brock loves wrestling good workers and smaller guys.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to
that. I suppose the option for him is that, or it's Lashley or Omos again. So the decision is fairly simple, isn't it, really? Acer's in. Logan Paul advised for King of the Ring on 24th of May. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Kenny's in. Unfortunately, the women's tag team titles are about as useful as a chocolate fire guard. Would love to see some actual teams developed instead of dropped together randomly. It's a good shout, yeah. You got to build it up with a proper foundation and stuff like that and all, don't you? Ian, looked inevitable. Yeah, it did actually. Ian actually called, remember the week of WrestleMania, he thought it was going to happen at WrestleMania. That was the talk going around. SummerSlam match is now set for Trish versus Becky. Yeah, and not only that, I mean, we're going to get a big run into it because SummerSlam is 3-4 months away at this stage, maybe more, So they should be able to build it up to something that's really, really good and stuff like that. And of course, you'll get the background stuff with Lita as well, who was attacked and stuff like that, which makes for a good storyline. New member of Damage Control, potentially. Damage Control started the breakup last night. Okay, interesting. So we'll have to see where Bailey fits into the picture, then see what happens there. What else have we got? What else have I got? Chris Sabin came out the other day, tweeted, celebrating 20 years in TNA Impact Wrestling. I'm a big fan of Chris Sabin. I do like his work. And I especially liked him when he tagged with Alex Shelley in the Motor City Machine Guns. But celebrating 20 years in Impact Wrestling, whatever your thoughts are on Impact Wrestling or TNA, he's a solid performer, Chris Sabin. I do really like him.
Definitely,
We also had Edge was on Sportsnet the other night, the Rated R Superstar, spoke about two names he wished he could have wrestled. Who would you reckon the two names were, if you had to guess?
Well, I'd say Bret Hart anyway.
Spot on.
Because I know he's a big fan of him. Hulk Hogan? No, because he did work with Hulk Hogan.
He worked with Hulk, and he tagged with him as well, didn't
he? Yeah.
Stone Cold. Stone Cold.
Oh, okay.
Stone Cold.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good shout there. Bret Hart was also talking. I said I had another segment for you. Bret Hart was talking about his two favorite Mania matches. The legendary wrestler raved about the Iron Man match with Shawn Michaels in '96 and the submission match in '97 with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Are two of his favorite Mania matches that he was involved in. Two great shouts, actually.
Yeah,
and especially when we've just been discussing his thoughts on the current state of the business. If there was ever two matches that tell a story, that things are nice and snug, and all that kind of stuff.
You can't really come out and criticize that, can you? If he's showing you that body of work. Not to mention, Roddy Piper, Owen Hart, and the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. What else have we got for you? Braun Strowman came out. He's launched a peanut butter company last year, named in ode of his father, Rick the Crusher Scher. It's called Crusher Nuts. That's Braun Strowman's peanut butter brand from his company. Buff Bagwell has also revealed that he is 7 months clean after battle with addiction. So hats off to Buff Bagwell. We've spoke about him. And how he was starting to look absolutely fantastic from when we last seen him and stuff like that. So congrats to him. And of course, Barbie Kelly, of course, also released information that she's exciting news that she's having twins. Can't think of two kids that would be more luckier on the planet. That's all I'm saying. Just putting that out there. You know my views on Kelly. I do like the girl. Gunther, IC champion, closing in on hit a milestone the other day of 300 days as IC champion. And to surpass the Honky Tonk Man's record, he has to keep the belt until the 7th of September. He's going to break the record, isn't he? They seem to be on a buzz at the moment about breaking these records, don't they?
Yeah,
putting them out there.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Like, if it's kind of cool and funny for the honky to have it, but
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get into some comments to catch up. Acers, is Vince McMahon 2012 looking term booking with Cody versus Brock for Backlash? Interesting. Eno thinks Bailey will turn face. It's a no-brainer. I like heel Bailey.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so good. He said it twice. On this day in 2011, Edge announced his retirement. Sad promo. Absolutely was. Man was distraught in the ring. But thankfully he got back. And since he came back, he's been doing some really good stuff. Let's get into some history, will we?
Let's do it. My favorite part of it. Sometimes my favorite part. Sometimes.
Yeah, there's a bit of sad news in there tonight, but we'll kick off anyway. 2001, on a taping of SmackDown from Philadelphia, no less. What a city, Pennsylvania. Jeff Hardy defeated Triple H to win the WWF Intercontinental Championship. And we remember it well. Jeff winning the IC belt off Triple H. 1964, the Nature Boy. And because it's 64, we know it's not the Nature Boy. It's the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers is declared the first WWF champion after Vince McMahon Sr.'s defection from the NWA required the promotion to recognize their own world champion, the original Nature Boy. 2014, WWE stars Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella got married in Sedona, Arizona. I remember at the time thinking about this, and I was thinking, it is the true definition of opposites attract, wasn't it? Daniel Bryan marrying Brie Bella, when you're saying all the Bella shows and all that kind of stuff, and all it was mad to think about it. Bit of sad news. 1987, one of the fabled Von Erich wrestling family, Mike Von Erich, committed suicide at the age of 23. Very, very sad. And if you've watched any of those Von Erich documentaries and stuff like that and listened to Kevin talk about it and stuff like that, very, very sad the whole way that family finished up and stuff like that. Very hard. And he carries that on his back to this day. 2016, former ECW star Balls Mahoney died of a heart attack at the age of 44. He lost balls. So yeah, very, very sad. Where I might take a few comments. Sean, Vince wasn't at Raw last night because he was trying to capture Spider-Man. Nice. Like that, Sean. What time you open Saturday? 10:30, my friend. 10:30.
Bring the wallet.
Shout out to everyone on Dynamos doesn't live chat. Yeah, absolutely. Always bring the wallet and never forget to talk. 1990, the Tokyo Dome played host to a rare card co-promoted by WWE and All Japan Pro Wrestling. In the main event, Stan Hansen was defeated by Hulk Hogan. I implore you to go look at that match. People who think Hulk Hogan can't wrestle, go look at that match. And Stan Hansen is everything that encompasses Japanese wrestling without being Japanese, isn't he? Really, when you think about it,
phenomenal.
In other interesting matches, you're going to enjoy this one. Andre the Giant teamed up with Giant Baba to face Demolition. They defeated Demolition. What a match, I'd imagine. That must have been a barn burner. 2008, on an episode of Raw held at the O2 in London, England, Mickie James defeated Beth Phoenix to become a 4-time WWE Women's Champion. Most unusual when championships change hands on foreign soil, as they say. 2010, of course, we lost Gene Knitsky. Died of cancer after a short battle against the illness. He was 81 years old, the great Gene Knitsky. 2020, on a day subsequently dubbed Black Wednesday, WWE conducted their biggest mass release of talent in a decade. Names to be let go included Kurt Angle, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, EC3, Heath Slater, and Rusev. So it'll be interesting to see if anything drops tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to have another Black Wednesday. Let's see what happens. 2021, exactly a year to the day after Black Wednesday, we had Black Wednesday Part 2, which WWE held another large-scale talent release with names future endeavored, including Mickie James, Samoa Joe, Bo Dallas, Peyton Royce, Kalisto, Chelsea Green, and Tucker, of course. Tucker we know well from up north. Wrestled around this country a hell of a lot. 2020, longtime WWE ring announcer, Hall of Famer, and one of the company's very first employees, the Fink, Howard Finkel, sadly passed away at the age of 70. What an announcer he was in. What an announcer.
Yeah, one of the best.
Absolutely. Just had that unique voice, didn't he? And he was just, he was great. He was always on cue and on point. One of the
Loved the business as well. Loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, what else have we got here? Sean. I've heard nothing but good things about Balls. May he and Axel be swinging chairs in heaven. Absolutely. Ted with a good one in here. Big shout, Bray Wyatt to be released. I like that, Ted. Absolutely. You can nail on that. Wonder if the bookies are offering odds on it. Black Wednesday is a shit horror franchise that only people running it like. Ted, not that Tucker. It's the one from Heavy Machinery. No, I think that one, Ted, wasn't it? That was the one where they were doing the releases as well, wasn't it? From NXT, and he was one of them at the time, as far as I know. Maybe I'm wrong now and I'm stand corrected, but I assumed it was the Tucker from up north who got released as well. Notable birthdays. We'll get into them now in a minute. Ian's here again. Do you remember when Hulk Hogan disregarded the WWF World Title on a backstage conference in All Japan Pro Wrestling? Do you remember? Yeah, I do remember that actually. And Sean, bet they'll lay off 2 companies worth of talent and then say it was budget cuts. I mean, what you thinking on that, Ian? I mean, there isn't a huge amount of talent there to be let go, is there? When you think about
Not
it,
at
I mean,
all.
literally.
Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, they've made a lot of cuts and they've moved off a lot of people and stuff like that. I don't know what the weight is, what they're carrying in NXT, or, you know, I'm sure they've got probably dozens of people in the performance center and stuff like that and all that. A lot of them we might not even know about at this stage. But I think when you look at the two rosters, there's not a huge amount of fat on the carcass to be shaved off, really. So
No.
it'll be interesting to see if they do switch up and go down that way. It'll be interesting to see who's involved in it. Let's get into some notable birthdays. And just for Joanne, who was in the comments there with Gold Dust, Dustin Rhodes, 1969, celebrates his birthday this week. Shout out to Dustin Rhodes. What a guy. Recently became a grandfather as well, so congratulations as well. And commiserations, of course. Also lost his mother recently as well, so I'm sure becoming a grandfather was a huge event for him. Paul Bearer, 1954. Would celebrate his birthday this week. What a performer Paul Bearer was. And of course, we're never too far away from one of the Macho Man's family. Angelo Poffo, 1925, would have celebrated his birthday this week. Interesting one that we often talk about when wrestlers pass away. Sometimes they pass away in the week of their birthday. Balls Mahoney, 1972, would have celebrated his birthday this week. And a man that you have fond memories on, you've had him on the show, the Great Harley Race, 1943, would celebrate his birthday this week. Lita celebrates her birthday this week as well, 1975, along with another man you've had on the show, 1967, Jeff Jarrett, now doing big things in AEW, I think, as far as I know. Austin Aries, 1978, and also commentator that we would know well in, especially from your WCW days, Mike Tenay, 1954.
Great commentator.
A man who's doing good stuff at the moment on the podcasting circuit with Rene Dupree. Paul London, 1980, and Vicky Guerrero, 1968. And we rounded out with a man who I really liked at the time. I thought he was just an exceptional performer and character at the time. 1937, Mr. Turnbuckle Chomper himself, George the Animal Steele, rounds out this week's birthdays. Let's take it. It's worth letting go a lot of talent, to be honest. Don't like to hear people losing jobs, but if the talent want to wrestle, it's nearly better for them to get onto the indie scene. Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point. Go out there and reinvent yourself again with a view of coming back and stuff like that. But let us know, Ted. I don't think there's that many in there ready to go. I know, yeah, absolutely. The Grizzled Young Veterans, of course, who were absolutely excellent. Their release. And also we're hearing Goldberg was released from his contract as well back on, I think, the 3rd of April, I read. So he's a free agent. Be interesting to see if he goes all elite. That'd be interesting. And Vicky Guerrero is a real life heel at the moment. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll say nothing on that one for a week or two, maybe.
Yeah, we'll give it time to ferment, as they say, before we push on. Exactly. Let it come to the boil, as they say, before we get stuck into it. Well, my friend, I just want to leave you with this one that I put together today. Just some new stock that's in for the shop to finish out. New pops have arrived in. The metallic Bianca Belair is now in stock, and the Dusty Rhodes pop is in stock. And arriving, as far as I know, I think on either Friday or Monday, we have the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn Champions top and the rebirth again of the LWO, the Latino World Order, as featured on the shows. They'll both hopefully be in stock this week as well. So just some new bits coming in for people if they wanted to know.
Make sure you get in there, spend your money. That LWO t-shirt is absolutely beauty. Eddie Guerrero throwing coffee on himself.
Yeah, it's all back out there again now. Ray and the boys were all rocking it and stuff like that. Now, so it's back with a bang.
It's time to cash in.
That's it. We got to move with the times. We got to be dynamic, as they say.
Absolutely. Sean's in saying he'll be in town Saturday going to OTT, so he'll be in town. Sean is going to bring a wad of cash in there, and he's going to drop some bombs on WrestleMania.
If I'm right, his birthday is this week, so because he said his birthday coincided with Black Wednesday.
Yes, so tell him, as always, tell Niall Ian sent you. He won't remember this show, so tell him I sent you.
Ted's actually back in. Sorry, I missed. Any mediums in that LWO shirt, I should be able to sort that for you, Sean. No problem, don't worry. There's loads of talents that's not being used that could leave if they wanted to. Some are happy to now be with WWE as its safe job and income, which is completely fair as well. Yeah, absolutely. And as we said earlier, now is not the time to be making that jump. Yes, sir. It'll be my birthday, so cash will be dropped. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Support local business. Gallows and Anderson are signed to WWE. Sure, you'd forget that as they haven't been on telly. That was interesting. And there was stories coming out this week as well. We haven't touched on it, but we will look at it. Jay White saying that he was about to sign with WWE, but he heard the old man was back, and that changed his mind, and he went off to AEW. So would have been interesting. Maybe there was big plans for himself and Gallows and Anderson. Do I still have the Carlito Bear? I'm really sure I do. Sean, I'll check for you tomorrow and I'll message you. And Ian's in. Is disrespected the title, and he was the WWF World Champion at the time, saying he wanted to be the IWGP World Champion. And we'll get my obligatory ECW DVD or 5. Yeah, absolutely. Always picks them up. Elimination Chamber 2023 DVD out now. Absolutely. We'll have it in stock on Friday. It's en route to us. And also, I think we're bringing in, they've put together a compilation. The best Royal Rumble matches of the Attitude Era, I think it's called. That's coming into us as well. So that should be interesting to see what's on that. So that should be all there Friday as well. That's all I have for you, my friend.
Well, that's it. Let them people get their ass down to you this weekend, because it looks like shit is rolling in. But as shit rolls in, it is time for us to roll out, my friends. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks for conversing with us. It's been a hell of a show. As always, shout out to Niall for always putting this great stuff together, because I never even know what we're going to be talking about, which makes it even better and more organic. But for me, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, for the shopkeeper, Niall Hogan, for this week, enjoy Black Wednesday tomorrow. And until we see you next week, we are over and out. Thank you all.